Good morning, everyone. Come on, you can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. I know you've been sitting for a while, right? So can I ask you, it's not really a conventional way to start. Can I ask you just to stand for like 10 seconds? So I take like a deep breath. I'm not going to be that long. This is the last session before the lunch. Take a nice like deep breath. I mean, I'm not an expert in yoga, so I cannot give you any training. But just take a nice breath, okay? Feel free to sit. Thank you very much. So my name is Naguib Toihiri. I'm the head of SEO and growth at Artefact. Artefact is a data marketing consultancy. We're actually the mergers of two business units, data engineers in one side and that digital performance on the other side. And we're actually born about like 3 years ago in this region. And I'm going to share with you today what I've learned from the last 6 years that I've been in UAE. The good thing is with my accent, you know where I'm coming from. Yes, I'm coming from France. Sorry, I've been trying my best to change this accent. It doesn't work out. So if you don't understand anything that I'm saying, please raise the hand, and we're going to have like a Q&A session at the end. So I'm actually very, very glad to be here today, and thank you very much for making it. Thanks a lot for the organizer to bringing all those bright minds in this room. It's been a while. Actually, I was planning to meet Miranda for a while, and we never really had the chance, so I'm really glad to have all those people here. Martin as well, who is an amazing SEO expert from another agency that I'm not going to mention because you are not on stage. Okay, so let's dive into the topic. So today, I'm not going to talk about mobile first. I'm not going to talk about how we use keywords into your content. I'm not going to talk about how we optimize landing pages and page speed. The reason why I'm not going to talk about that is, first of all, I have a lot of respect for all of you, and I'm pretty sure that you're already doing an amazing job on that. You have seen like other sessions talking about that before. And on top of that, you can find plenty of information online about how to use the best practices into your websites. That's the reason why I'm not going to touch those topics today. What we're going to talk about is mainly the evolution of search. What is coming next? We have learned from all those people what happened the last few years. Let's think about what's coming next. So let me give you a bit of background about what I've been doing for the last 10 years, doing SEO, coming from France, came here 6 years ago, been doing SEO for the last 10 years. I actually have helped a lot of brands implemented what Miranda has said about international SEO. I've helped Jumeirah doing international SEO. I've helped other companies, airlines in the region. And the thing is, like, when internet started in 1989, this is actually the year when I'm born, we have seen a lot of interest towards internet. In the early 90s, people starting building websites, getting more visibility. Great. SEO, it started actually in 97. We're talking about like more than 20 years that we've been doing SEO. Even though it remains kind of like the black box, it's been 20 years that we are practicing this digital aspect. And then in 2011, 2012, we start seeing a lot of like different updates. I've highlighted like the most important one here. We have seen Google penalizing basically websites who are duplicating content. So if you are just copy-pasting your content from another website or within your own website, Google will start penalizing you. We have seen the same in 2012 with the links. So the links that were basically spammy, Google will devalue your website, and you're going to go low on the rankings. And more recently, in 2015, we have seen the early stages of the mobile get-done and the mobile first. So mobile first is basically the fact that Google now will look at your mobile version of the website before looking at your desktop. And you know all the curve about mobile taking over, desktop going down. From the benchmark that I've seen with all the 15 clients that I work in this region, we can clearly say that more than 60% of the traffic online is coming from mobile. So we are already in this era. So then, what's coming next? What will be the next update? And the thing is, this is the path that I was been following for the last 10 years, trying to understand what is the next update, what is the latest technology, what thing. And I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. Because just by following what are the latest updates, I actually missed the whole point, which is putting the user in the center of our strategies. And the thing is, the users, at the end of the day, they have the ultimate power, the power of choice. You probably know what is an elevator pitch, right? Do you know how much seconds a user spends on Google result page before they click? 2, 3, 1? Any idea? We actually spend less than 8 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds before we click. So you have 8 seconds to convince a user to click on your results. So this is very important to remember that all those technologies will evolve. We are now talking a lot about Python, language R, but what will remain is the users. The business that will succeed in the future are the ones who unlock the opportunities and understand the users at the core. Let me give you more examples. Today, the users, this is a study that has been released in June, 50% of the users don't click anymore on your result page. This is a drama. This is a big change. This is a shift in our entire industry. People are expecting to get directly the answer, and this is the big shift. Google have moved from being a search engine, and Omar yesterday actually has described the nice way of it used to be a library and we are looking for information. No, now our attention span, as you know, is now lower than a goldfish. Actually, that's not true. What I would say is that our way to filter things is actually getting better. We know what we want. What is there for me? And the users are not expecting to click. Basically, now they want the information. So how, as a market, as a search marketers, how can we counter-attack and how can we take over this opportunity into our business? I have seen 3 main trends happening in this region for the last 6 years. The main one, which is taking over, obviously, the entire world, is the voice search. Okay? The fact that now we no longer type only, we start speaking to start our search online. And I will show you some figures about that, local figures. Images, we have seen the growth of images actually now taking over. And I don't know if you have followed the campaign that was made by Snapchat last year, where you were able to take a picture of a product, and this picture will lead you directly to Amazon to buy this product. It's actually a nice transition to the next one. We have seen as well Google Lens. A few months ago, Google has announced what will be the next 20 years of Google products. And part of this is actually the fact that now with AI, Google is able to understand the product. They are actually now able to read the content of those images. And the next step is Amazon. Amazon, obviously, just bought Suit.com last year, $500 million, amazing, just rebranded last April. And this will completely shift the way that we're going to search online. And this is more figures about that. In UAE, this is a research from Global Web Index that you can find on Hootsuite and We Are Social review. It's actually, I will recommend you to look at this review from We Are Social and Hootsuite. Every year they publish local information, or we're talking about global and local information about the trends, the use of internet, use of technology, social media, etc. And they have said that 45% of UAE internet users are using voice search or voice command. And this is not a surprise, to be honest with you. When you think about that, we are in the country where they have the highest amount of smartphone, more than 200%. So there is more smartphone in this room than people. The second thing is the image search. So now image is playing a big role. 23% of the users, they do their research directly on Google Image. So you need to optimize those assets. This is where your audience is. And this is super important because image goes to the cognitive aspect of human. It plays with the emotion. So you can convince a user better and faster by using imaging than words. So this is a very important element. And finally, Amazon. Obviously, this is the early stage of Amazon. I'm planning to meet them on Sunday. They're probably going to release their paid media platform early next year, so get ready. But at the moment, what we have seen in the US, more than 50% of the people, when they want to buy a product, they go to Amazon first. So Google is no longer alone. So this is what we see as the trends coming in the near future. When I'm talking about the near future, the next few months. So how can we take this into our advantage? And how AI can help us getting better results. I'm pretty sure you've been heard about this AI for a while. I will try to demystify a little bit. I'm not a data scientist, I'm a search marketer, but AI is definitely going to play a big role in my job in the next few years, and it's already playing. And I will give you very good example, or what I believe are very good example of how we can use AI today into our methodologies. I'm very proud as well that this week, actually, we announced, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed announced that UAE will open the very first university focusing on the AI program, and we are already proud to have the first Ministry of Artificial Intelligence in this country. So there is no better place in the world to talk about AI than UAE today. So let's think about what Google think about AI. So this is a quote from the CEO of Google, who said that basically AI will be more profound as like a human impact than electricity and fire. And let's be honest, we've been using AI on a daily basis. You probably commute here by using Google Maps. Like the time that it's gonna take for you to come here, that was using AI. You're probably using other aspects, for example, like a spam box on your email box. All those technology were already using AI. In 1914, the autopilot of the planes were using AI. So this is not something new. What is new, the change is that we can now, as a marketers, use AI into our work. This is the big shift. So just to demystify a little bit AI, this gives you the different subsets of AI. There are 4 of them: the learning, sensing, planning, and knowing. 4 of them are using different aspects of AI, but the one that we are the most interested in is actually the sensing. The sensing one, because it processes the language. It helps the machine understanding what is the meaning of the words. So when SEO was back in the 90s, all about keywords, yes, we need to plug this number of keywords. Now I can tell you, I don't know if you're aware, but you can rank on a specific page without using the keyword. Because it's no longer about content, it's about context. It means that if you have not mentioned Dubai on a page, but you are mentioning GLT, you are mentioning Marina, you are mentioning GBR, Google will know that you are talking about Dubai. When you type what is the capital of Paris, you are not putting France, but he's going to tell you, what is the capital of France, sorry, he's going to tell you this is Paris, even though on your query you have not put this. So it moved from search engine to answer engine. And on top of that, it gathers a lot of information. And for example, typically, if someone is typing Jaguar, is he talking about the animal? Is he talking about the car? Google now understands better the meaning of the word and how this is by using those technologies, all right? So I have seen 3 business cases where we can use AI to our methodologies. The first one is the validation. Now AI is basically helping us stopping the guesswork. We can validate things. And I will give you a proper example here. This is more or less describing what I was just explaining before about how Google now is able to put words into a context. This has happened a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, in 2015, when they started to release what we call the rank brain. So officially, Google said that the 3rd most important ranking factor is the rank brain. What is rank brain? Is basically understanding the meaning of a sentence, understanding what we call the user intent, what the people are looking for. And why is this so important? Is that we are moving towards a voice search. Let's be honest, we are not there yet, but we're now talking about the future. But what is basically happening now, there are different steps before we reach the voice search, is the fact that people are now talking. Not only typing, they are talking, which means that they are using more conversational queries, more question-based queries. How to, what is, how much, how far, those questions. And Google is now be able to process this content to give directly the answers. All right, nothing new. There are plenty of tools, by the way, who can help you identify what are the questions that users are actually typing or actually speaking. One of them is actually Answer the Public. I don't know if you've heard about this. I didn't put it on the slide. Answer the Public is one of the best tools to find out what are the questions that people are asking. And this is dominating now the search page of Google. So this is going to appear at the very, very top. And the thing is now, we have the ability to have a tool that will help us validate this content. And Google, they have been using this technology for a while called BERT. So BERT is a subset of the NLP, which is a subset of the AI. So BERT, and I've put a link so you can play around this demo. Now, as a content marketer, you can validate the quality of your content. Is Google able to process what I've written? Is Google understanding the meaning of my content? Is Google able to answer the users by using my content? So you can now validate and stop the guesswork about, I just publish content and I'm assuming that Google will understand. So this is the very first step, validate. The second step is scale up. So as Aaron told us a few times yesterday, it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. So we should focus on the essential. And the thing is, machine can help us doing things much faster in a way that human cannot do, basically. So let's look at the next slide. You have probably read this content somewhere on the website, on social media. So DigiMarcon is the best digital marketing conference in the Middle East, a combination of expert panel, conferences, etc. Actually, you have not read this content anywhere because this was automatically generated by a machine. And Gartner, the institute, they have actually predicted that 20% of the content will be generated automatically by machine. They actually predicted that for 2018. I don't know if it's the fact. I don't have more figures, and if you have, I'm more than happy to hear from you, that 20% of the content now will be auto-generated. So machine can help us. Why is this becoming very important? We were talking about localization, Arabic. Do you know how much of the content online is available in Arabic? Do you have any idea in terms of percentage? 5%? It's below that. 3%? The latest study that I have from Internet WorldStat, is actually less than 1% of the content available is in Arabic. Less than 1% of the content available on the internet is in Arabic. Even though it's the fourth most spoken language online, the available amount of content available, the amount available in Arabic is very, very, very tiny. So this is an amazing opportunity for brands to capitalize on this, going towards international SEO localization. And obviously using machine to generate this content is becoming key. So this is an example of a tool that we have worked with one of our partners. We have auto-generated ads for real estate or property websites. So depending on we have like more than 47 inputs, so you can like customize the size of the flat, the name of the area, etc. It's going to generate automatically content for you. So this is what machine can do. And the second thing, why it's so important, the very biggest challenge, the very first challenge that SEO have today is the fact that 60% of the internet is duplicated. This is a figure from Gary Elias, 2015, he said that. I'm pretty sure that this is even more now. 60% of the content online is duplicated. I'm pretty sure you see it every day on LinkedIn. You have probably seen like the same post every single day, liked and reshared, like and reshare. And this is a challenge for Google because obviously this is taking over the amount of space that they have available on their index for it's a wasted time. It's 60% of wasted content. So using those machines to build unique content will be a key differentiator in the future. And the third point that I wanted to highlight is the insights. As you know, for the last 2 years, we have produced more data than ever in the history. And this will become more and more a challenge. We are having a lot of data, we consume a lot of data. How can machine help us digest this data and come up with insight? It's already the case. You start having, probably you have seen it if you are using Google Analytics, the section called Insights. So Google started to do that. And at Artefact, we actually have developed like a similar tool, a bit more advanced, called Octopus, when we use those machine learning to come up with insights. So this is giving you an example of different touch points and data. We are using the competition, we're using like a different product, the websites, and the media spend as well. So we gather all those data to basically come up with insights. So the machine, instead of us looking at all the Excel sheet, trying to figure out what is the relevant information, the machine can help us directly go to what is relevant for us. And on top of that, what is very interesting is not only looking back at the data, it actually predicts the future. And it does the same. It actually shows you if you're going to change the spend on a specific campaign, what's going to be the impact. So it starts basically doing like some predictive analytics based on the insights that you have, which is a very good tool when it comes to budget reallocation. So that's pretty much the three trends that I can see of using AI towards search marketing. First one, validate your work, understand the relevancy of your text content, scale up by like speeding up the content production, and finally insights by unlocking insights and predict future performance. So I hope this gives you a very tangible example of use of AI into our search marketing expertise. So let's demystify AI. It's not only about buzzword, machine learning, AI. There are already tools available that we can use to make our work faster and better and smarter, to use our own expression. This research pretty interesting actually, because it tells us that more than 20% of the time that we are using basically at the moment today as like marketers are around like repetitive tasks, basically, repetitive tasks. So AI will help us, first of all, stop like the dumb work, and on top of that, like stop the guesswork. So we can now test things before we validate without any bias, basically. So as an overall, there are a lot of different aspects of AI. I choose like 3 of them, but there is so many of them that we can do, focusing on like the users, trying to design user personas, automatically bid optimization. So that's, give you an example. These are like the tools that we use, we have developed. And again, we don't have like, we have some tools basically that will automatize the task. But what we do, which is even more interesting, is like we build business cases for the businesses. So we bring together different technologies and we help businesses understanding their data issues. And this is what we do using this platform called Nautilus. So I hope this gives you a good understanding of practical use of AI towards search marketing. So we can at the end focus on what matters the most, which is the art with the creativity and the fact, which are like the strategy, and this is what Artefact stands for. So thank you very much. Any question?
It's regarding the content creation, the AI content creation. So there's a lot of companies at the moment, small startups that have started developing this technology. My question is, do you know of any big companies or any companies that actually have used the technology to create content, and how will this affect content writers in the future?
Yeah. We have a lot of business case. I didn't want to, the whole purpose of the session was to share you examples, not only the one that we have done, but as well as a global trends. There are many companies who have used that, and you obviously don't necessarily notice it. An example in France is actually SNCF, which is like the train, basically, company. All the pages related to train from Paris to Marseille, they are all automatically generated. Another one is actually news feed. Le Monde, which is the most famous news paper basically in France. A lot of their articles are actually now auto-generated. And if you want to play around that, the tool that I was using for basically write down the content for Digimarcon is actually called Talk to Transformers. So if you use Talk to Transformers, you can generate automatically content. There is another very interesting one when it comes to, because we talk about content as a text content, there is another one interesting when it comes to images. We've talked about images as content. And there is one called, that made like a nice buzz actually last year, called This Person Doesn't Exist. So it basically automatically generates images and faces of people that don't exist. And it's actually very good use because when you like build personas or you want like to have like a description of someone, you don't need to take someone's picture. You can generate automatically a face of someone who is not existing. So talk to transformers and this person doesn't exist. And there is so many other examples. There is blog as well that auto-generated content. But the good thing is it's not only about tools and like geeky things. In Japan, they have released, they have done like kind of like a price for books in 2017, and they have noticed that more than 50% of the people who apply for winning this prize like use generated content. So this is real, and they actually did like the shortlist of those entrants. So this is our new world basically. Any other? Yeah.
Thank you very much for that informative session. I just have a question. When we're talking about auto-generated content, there's this question of ethics or copywriting, let's say. So first of all, who owns this content if it's machine generated? And secondly, if we're creating content or images, I can see a lot of misuse happening in the future. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with you, first of all. I mean, especially when it comes to digital, there is always like a black way, the same way that there is a black hat SEO. There is always like a black way to use this content. So here I was talking about how we can benefit from that. So when it comes to your first question about who owns this content, I mean, the one who owns the content is the one who buys it, or the one who produces it. So basically the way that we get charged or we build this is number of pages. So we create a number of pages that has like a certain price, and this content is owned by us. When it comes to, the thing is like keeping in mind, we're talking about like very specific, and you can imagine, I gave like example of very big company in France because they're already using it. You can imagine that the quality of this content is great. Otherwise they wouldn't even like take the risk, because the content is the first touch point between you and your users. Whatever happened, the technicalities, they don't see that, the users. They see the content, and this is the best way for you to convince the users. So the quality is there. And you have, as I told you, this content is really personalized because you have more than 47 points of the content which is basically manually input from you. So whatever you want to customize in this content is actually generated by you. For the bad use of search, it's already happening, by the way. It's already happening. There are a lot of websites who now like using this auto-generation to create fake news. So as you know, yeah, this is already happening. So the way that we now need to fight against that, again, is going to be kind of like a battle, AI versus AI. There are AI who now like trying to tackle the way to identify frauds, and there is AI who actually produce. So the battle is not only, it's now like robot versus robot. But I think the more we will be using this technology in the benefit, the more the fraud, the less the fraud will be there. So let's take advantage to that, yeah, in this new world, I would say. Yeah. Thank you for your question, by the way.
Hi, thanks for the mention firstly. And so you spoke about zero-click searches, something which is constantly on the rise, was in the range of 40% last year, now it's grown to more than 54%. Now when we look at performance marketing, that becomes a challenge for us because you rank maybe on advertisements or even for SEO organically, but a user would actually not click on your results. So do you think as marketers we should promote things of SEO being more on vanity, or should we change the performance metrics from clicks to impressions? What are your views on that?
So actually it reminds me the meeting that I had last week with the COO of Dubai Tourism. So today I have a small responsibility. My responsibility is to bring more visitors to Dubai. So I'm basically responsible for visitdubai.com. That's a very, very small responsibility. And that was the discussion that I had with them last week, because we have noticed a very big uplift when it comes to impressions, but the uplift when it comes to visit was not that high. So obviously I had to do a lot of work of education, that there is a trend. There is like a trend that shows that people are no longer clicking, but there is other opportunities. There's a lot of other opportunities. First of all, we need to obviously shift a little bit the way that we are thinking about SEO. SEO is, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, SEO was about keyword ranking. 10 years ago, we say, oh, no, it's no longer keyword ranking because it's all personalized. Everyone will type the same query here. No one will see the same results. So we did like 10 years of education to shift to performance. This is all about visit and traffic. Now we need to do the same education to move towards the visibility and the impressions and the engagement on the result page. Unfortunately, those, what we call the feature snippet, which is like the result 0, are basically impacting negatively the click-through rate. So this is not getting more clicks on top of that, and on top of it, it's cannibalizing the other clicks below because the user gets the answer. So let's think about the other opportunities. So let's first shift our thought about being more impressions, brand awareness, and on top of that, there is so many other opportunities. I can give you 2 examples. One is called Google Discover. I don't know if you heard about this Google Discover. It's actually now a feature that Google is using across all the Android devices that will basically pre-populate information before you are searching for it. So I don't know how many of you are actually using Android, but now Google has this feature. Before you search, it's basically kind of like predictive search. There is a way for marketers to use this into our advantage because there are criteria behind. So let's try to be somewhere else because the users are not clicking, so we need to be on the other product. And the other side is basically about looking at the other Google products, like images, like videos, like people are no longer on the traditional search engine result page. Where are they? They're probably somewhere else. So we need to capitalize on that. And we have seen the rise of images. We have seen the way that Google Image has changed massively to become more like a curation platform. So this is our role to capitalize on all the others. And again, going back to the focus has to be the users. Where are the users? Where they are, what do they want, and serve them. If we follow this approach, we will never be outdated when it comes to algorithm update.
Thank you.
Hope it answers the question.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other question? Yeah, I think we have 5 minutes left, but yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was wonderful. I want to ask you, maybe from your experience, since you've been here for 6 years already in UAE, and you started to talk about the lack of content in Arabic. Could you please share more about international and local? What are the gaps, or maybe you can find that in the Middle East, other than the language and the content? Yeah. What is missing?
Thank you so much. I could spend an hour on that. Don't worry, I'm not going to stay an hour on that. But that's probably I spent a large amount of my time was actually focusing on the Arabic SEO. We've helped a brand like Jumeirah. We have helped a brand, another airline that I cannot mention today, sorry, becoming the first Arabic airline in the world. And how did we do that? I will move from the big picture to the very, very quick win that everyone can do in this room. The big picture is the fact that SEO, it's a race. Let's go back to that. SEO, it's a race. It's not only about being the best website in the world, it's about being better than your competitors. The first thing that you need to do is to identify who are your competitors. So when I was talking to this airline, for example, I asked them, who are your competitors? And they told me, yeah, it's Turkish Airways, it's, they told me, yeah, Emirates, it's Etihad. So I think you can guess what airline I'm talking about. Okay? So they told me, yeah, I did that joke in Saudi, they didn't laugh. Basically, I look at the competitors, what are they doing? But when they told me this is the list of your competitors, I say you're wrong. These are not your competitors. From a marketing traditional point of view, yes. Online, they are not. Your competitors online, the first one and the very best SEO website in the world is Skyscanner. This is for me the best SEO. I'm not even talking about an airline. If you want to take best practices of SEO, look at Skyscanner. They are monsters. They are the best. And we are glad actually that we have helped them locally. So we look at what the competitors were doing. And I think that's the best way, first of all, to learn. Because this is a race. This is you versus the others. What are they doing great that you are not doing? So we look at what they were doing. Actually, back then, one of the best websites was Etihad in Arabic. They were one of the few brands, if not the only one brand, that were using URL in Arabic. So we started to do the same. We started to produce content in Arabic, localizing this content. So this is the big picture. Look at your competitors from a marketing perspective and from an online perspective and use the best practices. This is the big picture. The very, very, I would say, technical aspect. You need to have a native language Arabic speaker in the room when you optimize content. I have so many examples, bad examples, of a hotel in this region using the word booking as like the book, the actual book, as kitab. It's not a joke, this is real. Another retailer was using made in Turkey. They didn't use made in Turkey as like the country, but as like the dajjaj, as like the chicken. This is real. And we are laughing, but our users are not laughing. So we are wasting a lot of potential opportunity. As I said again, SEO is about a race. It's you versus your competitors. The competition in Arabic is close to zero. What I have seen of increasing the visibility in English, we had like 100% uplift when we had 400% in Arabic versus English. This is huge. And as a quick example, quick win that you can take over, think about your users. Think the way that they type. There is no users in this region, in Arabic, that, for example, use what we call lam al-ta'rif. Lam al-ta'rif is the use of the book. They will use directly book or the beach. They will use directly the word beach. So we need to stop all those words. Another thing is called the hamza in Arabic. It's basically a small accent on top of like the A later. This small accent, typically in our capital, Abu Dhabi, we have seen that there is more people writing Abu Dhabi in the wrong way without the hamza than the actual way. You need to think about what people are using. And another example, let's take a tangible example of mobile. We're very glad to have a big telco as a partner. We have noticed on the website that they were using one version of mobile, but the word mobile itself can be said mahmul, can be said jawal, can be said mobile, and three of them are all right. Which one are people using? I give a final example. We have seen, actually, the speaker before was from Morocco, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely. It was an amazing talk. Let's talk about Morocco and the city of Casablanca. As you know better than anyone in this room, that Casablanca can be said Casablanca, but can be said Dar el Beida. Which one are your users using? And I will finish on that quote. It's Nelson Mandela who said, I want to make sure that I quote it in the right way. He said exactly, when you talk to someone in a language that he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. We need to talk to people's heart. And this is the best way, is to localize this content for the users. Hope it answered the question.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I think time is up. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience. Thank you very much. I have my booth on the right side of the exit, so please feel free to come.